lads, we are back.
Yep. Still here.
Yeah, it's rainy here in Ontario. How about in Montreal?
It's not raining at all. No blues. You know when it's just same as last episode. There's just cloud coverage everywhere. It's not terrible. It's not a complete miserable day, but it could be nicer.
Is this how we're starting every episode now with a weather update in our respective cities?
You know, we're just trying to branch out. You know, we might go back to school. We might become sports meteorologists.
Here's the game day weather report. Well, in Montreal, it's a nice slight overcast, 17 degrees. Well, you know, light rain, slight participate. Not even going to try and say, you know what I mean? The thing in weather begins with precipitation, slight participation, about 2 millimeters of rain on the evening, and we'll see how it goes. Back to you, Dan, in the studio. So, you ever see that video of PK Subban doing the weather?
No. He could do it.
He is really
he
good.
has like
he could do it.
He has the booming voice where it's like he takes our attention. Like in his podcast, he has it.
Like the weather, and like there's like the symbol of the wind, and he's like, "Here's the wind. It's coming towards me." And he's just everyone in the studio's laughing. He just has the personality for it.
We could have him on the show.
He'd make the weather fun.
Yeah.
We should have him on the show.
We should.
I don't think it's that easy though.
Yeah,
you know, it's possible. New Jersey's not making the playoffs, so he has extra time.
Yeah, but the moment he's done, he's going to go start doing his workout routines. He's going to start, hanging out with The Rock and stuff. He's going to be busy.
And then we can have The Rock on it. Exactly.
And like, do you want me to call you The Rock, DJ, or Dwayne?
I feel like if we have The Rock and PK on the show, we just have to leave and just let them do it because I feel like we would be bringing them down.
Exactly. Probably.
These two pillars of charisma.
I'd be too scared to actually ask The Rock a question because I don't want him to say it doesn't matter.
Oh my God, I know, right? So Daniel, what do you think? It doesn't matter what you think. Oh, it's the best. You ever see that old clip of him and Mick Foley? And it's like Mick Foley turns it and he's like, I want to know how this makes you feel. And The Rock starts and Mick gives it back. Doesn't matter how you feel. And he starts running around the ring. The crowd's going nuts. And Foley just goes, Foley. And the crowd are just going nuts. It's one of the funniest clips you'll ever see. Oh, it's great. Mick Foley. What a great guy. Do you know he had like a piece of his tooth? Alex, you may know this because we both used to be big into the wrestling. Dan, did you know that famous thing of how he was put through the Hell in a Cell broke and he like fell through it?
Oh yeah. I used to be a big wrestling fan too.
So you like how crazy, like how his like tooth went through his ear or something?
Yeah, that was disgusting.
That's nuts, man. That guy's had the fact that he can still walk is a miracle.
Who was your favorite wrestler growing up?
Ooh, probably either The Undertaker because he was spooky, or I was a really big fan of Edge and Christian because, again, I've said this before, they're from Orangeville, which is right outside of where I grew up. So they were the local boys, and Edge's name is Adam. It doesn't take that much, but probably either Kane or Edge and Christian.
Yeah.
Probably when I got into it, it was the big CM Punk phase. So it was CM Punk. Even after all that, what a storyline.
Pipe bomb. He went off script.
You know who was cool too? Jeff Hardy.
Yes, I love the Hardy Boys.
The face paint that Jeff had was so sick.
Yeah. Funny thing, I met him as a kid.
Jeff Hardy?
Yeah. So this is a funny
drunk?
story.
Probably.
I don't know. Like I was like 6 or 7.
Really?
And like the cyclone. I don't know what it's called actually anymore at Wonderland. You know what I'm talking about, Adam? Alex?
Yeah.
No. The spinning.
I'm sure we've both been
this
there.
Big spinning circle one, pendulum.
I wasn't I'm not a big roller.
It's a ride, yeah. Anyway.
Okay, yeah, it's a ride. That was when it first opened, and he did a presentation or talk there, and the contest was like, if you win, you get on to go on the ride with him. I don't know.
Did you win?
Something like no, I didn't win, but I got to meet him, and he's a nice guy. Like he, I didn't realize it at the time. I thought he was just always happy.
No,
but I at the time until I got older. I started reading a lot, or like I didn't know he had addiction to painkillers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, okay, but yeah, nice guy. He was my favorite guy growing up, but I still have to say The Rock overall. now because when I got into wrestling, I was like Rock versus Brock.
Yeah. All right. Well, wrestling to start the show.
Of course, yeah.
We should probably talk about hockey now.
We will. There's another wrestling bruiser we have to talk about.
Is there?
Yes.
Okay.
Andrew Shaw.
I was gonna Andrew Shaw's not a wrestler though. I was trying.
He's a brawler.
In my head, I was thinking of like, okay, how do we bring this back? I had something, but mid thought you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, if you want to talk about heart and soul, real dog, headfirst into the play guy, that's Andrew Shaw. Congratulations on the great career with Andrew Shaw. Multiple Stanley Cups with the Blackhawks. Had a stint with the Montreal Canadiens. But there was always, what follows somebody like that in their style of play is injuries. And due to, issues with concussions, that's why Andrew Shaw has retired. But you guys have a thought on the mutt he called himself?
I mean, he's the guy. He's a similar guy you hate to play against, but you'd probably love to have on your team at some point at whatever in whatever spot in the lineup. But I think the bigger thing, I think the thing here is we talked about it last week, right? With Oscar Klefbom, and it's like, there's potential that his career could be over because of shoulder injury, and it's happening again. And I think Daniel's point last episode, like this, there's more to these guys' lives than just hockey. Mm-hmm. And I think that this is just another situation here, like similar to that.
Mm-hmm. Daniel.
Yeah, again, like he's only 29. It's kind of unfortunate that, based on his style of play, he has to leave the game this early. But if I look back on a lot of the highlights, I'm going to have to pinpoint when he was still a youngster in 2013. And that team, that Blackhawks team where we always talk about balance and everything, where they go against the Bruins, they're public enemy number 1 in Toronto because we all know what happened in the first round. And sorry, Alex. And it's just that lineup they had where, they had Brian Bickle, they had Andrew Shaw to complement the Marian Hossa, the Jonathan Taves, the Patrick Kane. And that was a team that really was built up to go against the Bruins in that crazy series that I thought was going to Game 7 before
before the last minute.
Yeah, before Dave Bolin said, I'll do it. Not today, or fine, I'll do it myself.
You love that fan.
I love that so much. But I'm gonna remember him. Also, someone that when people think about the Blackhawks in that era where they weren't drafting too well, or they drafted people and they cut bait on them a bit too quickly, like Philip Deneau. Andrew Shaw, someone that they were able to find that depth guy that really fit into their system really late in the draft in the 5th round. And he was that guy where he just played everywhere in the lineup.
Mm-hmm. I'll never forget when he tried to headbutt a goal in the playoffs. Should have counted, but God, I remember his time in Montreal. It was only a couple of seasons, but he was instantly a fan favorite just because, again, you can tell he was a joker. He, loved to rip guys, but in like the fun way. I missed it. I remember they traded him because they were clearing cap. They got a decent return on him, but it was around the Sebastian Aho offer sheet. Like the day before they put it out, they traded it Shaw. And I mean, like, God, you miss him. But there was stuff like when he collided with Greg Patterin and like he was out cold and always like the first guy to drop the gloves. It's just, you hate to see it cut short. A Belleville kid too. You always love that. Small town guy making it to the show, winning some Stanley Cups, and become a real fan favorite along the way. And this is something you love about hockey. It's like, listen, we can debate about the respect of the game between Steph Curry and LeBron James, but you know what? Sometimes it's to the detriment of hockey, but at the same time, these depth role guys, the character guys, are just kind of what makes up like a lot of fan favorites. And you know what? Again, congratulations, great career, and happy retirement to Andrew Shaw.
Yeah. Just
a great guy. And 65, a solid number. You don't see many 65s in the league. You got to love that stuff. Lads, you know what's pretty big for the NHL?
TV contracts.
Charles Barkley.
Oh, no. Okay, well, somehow I knocked my mic out again. We'll figure that out in a second. But the NHL, its secondary broadcast, US TV shenanigans, Turner Sports. We're talking about wrestling. WCW is coming back, ladies and gentlemen. It's a 7-year deal. A lot of details, regular season stuff. They will have the rights to, I believe it's the Winter Classic, 3 Stanley Cup Finals. The deal is worth $225 million annually. And just some quick math that I did. Took me a bit too long to figure this out than I would like to. Between the 2 TV deals, this and the ESPN, the NHL will get altogether worth $4,375 million from their TV rights.
That's over 7 years.
Yes.
Yeah, not bad.
That is very much not bad.
But you know what the funny part about all of this is? It's a really big contract. Yet the cap still won't go up.
Yeah.
That's a separate conversation. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah. Well, it's still, though, a massive win for the NHL.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know how we say the NHL should they always follow the lead of the NBA, and we kind of view that as a negative thing? In this case, it's not a negative thing. In this case, it's probably one of the best things they could have done to grow the game in the U.S. And we know how much Gary Bettman loves to do that.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to see 4 additional American teams by the end of this deal.
No.
Yeah.
Arizona may end up in Houston by then, but
I think before we talk about a lot of the other positives of this, it was, I forgot, I think it was Pierre LeBrun or Darren Dreger who tweeted about it, where you have to think about NBC did its best to kind of hold on to this, and just they said, everything goes out to all the workers that were there for NBC Sports. And I guess it's the reality of when these things happen and the contracts expire.
Yeah, it's true.
See, there was some graphic and talking about the deal or something. And one company had okay, so here are the promotional pictures. I think it was NBC. And it was Ovechkin and Oilers captain Andrew Ference. And everyone was ripping it. But do you know what? I think the article I have up here is from Greg Wyshynski. Gotta love that kind of stuff. It ends a pretty long relationship with NBC too. And I mean, you kind of saw it coming that with NBC sort of shutting down a lot of sports networks, that it was going to go somewhere. And you know what? There is the potential now that with TNT, listen, we're not going to get Shaq and Charles Barkley talking about the hockey.
You might get Charles Barkley.
I don't want that.
Why?
I really don't. Because he's done stuff before, hasn't he? They've just brought him on to
he was on sport. I'm pretty sure he was on the NHL network. There's a video of him and Kyprios.
I know a lot of people like that stuff, but listen, I like character, but at the same time, I don't like gibberish just being thrown around.
Wait, so you didn't Sean? Yeah.
Sorry,
go
ahead.
Go ahead. You didn't like Shawn Michaels commenting on the HBK line?
See, what's funny about that is you can tell he clearly knew nothing about hockey. It was cool. Great, here's 50-year-old Shawn Michaels talking about it. But no, again, it's just it's a personal taste thing. It's just listen, will we get the occasional first take shenanigans from Stephen A? I mean, yeah, I still don't think it's going to be taken seriously by a lot of them at first. No. But I just don't want Charles Barkley. Just he doesn't know half of the depth guys in the NBA. Do we really want him coming in hockey? Do we really think he knows who Patrice Bergeron is?
No, but he also has triple the fans of most any NHL guy on that in those networks. It's just it's growing. It's just growing the audience. I'm not saying put him on every single night, and I don't think that's a good idea either. You're right. He clearly knows. He doesn't know enough about hockey, not even close to be on every night. But I think if they try to recreate that panel in a way that fits hockey, and I was thinking about it last night, I look at Kevin Bieksa and I say, wow, if you get 4 Kevin Bieksas and put them on a panel, that would be great.
Yeah.
Special spots where they'll have a funny thing, or he'll talk about it or something, but I don't know, more of a meshing kind of thing where it's just what you talk about with the following there, where there's some substance or semblance of that spreading towards, I guess, the hockey side of things.
That's all I want is like you have your personality, but keep the integrity of the game, please. That's all I want. Again, like I don't watch a lot of ESPN. Maybe it's because like obviously the sports I watch are all on Sportsnet and then Sky for F1. I mean, it's not like golf commentators are the most like, oh, and then here's the shenanigan. It's just
they should have the Buffalo Sabres guy for golf.
So you say that, but when he gets, I remember when Jake McCabe ruined Patrick Laine. You ever hear this like Shifley Laine? It's center ice, and you can tell like as his voice just goes, Laine just gets dropped. He can turn up the decibels. Though, still, God, I'm happy for the NHL here. I'm really happy for the NHL.
I have a question for you guys before we move on with this. So a running joke with, the NBA on TNT is that Shaq always says, "I have 4 rings." So who's going to be that guy for the NHL one that just always brings that up?
Versteeg would have to go to BX and say, "Hey, buddy, you did it a few weeks ago." I mean, you could probably get Patrick Waugh on and just be like, anytime somebody's trying to tell him something, he's like, "Can't hear you. Got my rings."
You know what they should? Okay, no, they should do this because he's not a good guy.
Who?
Jeremy Roenick.
I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they said that would never work.
It's like because like
you can't control Jeremy Roenick.
Because Charles Barkley and Shaq used to be rivals, but now they're on the same segment, and I'm like Jeremy Roenick and Patrick Waugh on the same segment, but no, it doesn't work.
Especially because Patrick Waugh, once again, because everyone forgets when the Sens had an opening, he tried to make a crack. He's now doing it again. He's hired an agent. And it's really funny to me that the news came out about Waugh hiring an agent the day before, I think it was on Monday, a few hours before probably Montreal's most important game of the season. He knew what he would like. This is Patrick Waugh, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Come on, Patrick. Come on, Patrick. I mean, listen, I would love to see him back in the game. He's the best, but
I was when I heard that, I started looking into Patrick Waugh as a coach, and a lot of people were saying, he's the type of guy who wants to have control of everything. And I just don't think that's going to work in the NHL. Like I think it works really well in the CHL because there's many instances of having coaches and GMs or where they're the same person. It's just it'd be really interesting to see again because we saw it in Colorado. We saw what happened in Colorado. I mean, up until the end where things between him and Sakic kind of did go a little bit sour, but I don't know. I don't know who's gonna take. Who do you think's gonna take a chance on Patrick Waugh?
Columbus.
No.
No. You just left a relationship with John Tortorella, and now you're gonna.
What you have to think about is with Patrick Waugh. It is why in the world would Patrick Waugh go to Columbus? Like that. Like nobody. Remember, this is Patrick Waugh who went out on top, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, listen. Did they lose to Minnesota? Yeah, but like his numbers were still like Patrick Waugh has too much self-respect. He left when he wanted to. So he's going to go to a market. Like that's what you got to remember about Patrick. I mean, like here's the thing. Because it's going to be a rumor no matter what happens until Ducharme gets a new contract. There's going to be links to Montreal. And it would be like, I don't want it, but I kind of do. Could you imagine Patrick Waugh one day pulling Carey Price? It would be terrible, but it would be so like it would be maximum chaos. But I think so. Who needs a new coach or who is on? Let's look at like some of the teams around the league, and I just don't see him. I don't see Patrick Waugh saying I'm going to go to Columbus. Is anything going to happen with Jeff Blashill in Detroit? I mean, I think Jeremy Colleton may be up in Chicago.
He has 2 more years after this one.
Never mind. Dallas aren't probably going to go anywhere.
No.
Nashville just got their new guy in John Hines. John Cooper should never lose his job. Quinville's not going anywhere. It sounds like it's not been easy, but Rod Brindamore this is from 31 Thoughts. He's probably staying in Carolina. The Caps aren't going to get rid of Laviolette. The Penguins, Sullivan's weird, but the Penguins, it's not mid-season, so they can't fire the coach. Barry Trotz, he'd be an idiot. Bruce Cassidy, he'd be an idiot. Is it Jack? No, it's not Jack Quinn. What's the Rangers coach's name? It's something Quinn. Is it David Quinn?
Yeah, David Quinn. But he has 2 more years after this one too.
Philly,
and they're in a weird spot too. They're figuring it out. They're giving him a chance.
Yeah. Philly, I wouldn't get rid of Vino right now because it feels like there's still some work to be done on that roster before they can him. Lindy Ruff in New Jersey is kind of weird, but would Patrick go there? He's not going to Buffalo because he would command a salary because he's Patrick Watt, he does what he wants. Obviously Colorado's not happening. Minnesota's not happening. The Golden Knights aren't going to happen. St. Louis?
You think they get rid of Craig Berube?
Let's put St. Louis to the side for a second here. Arizona.
Can you imagine? Sorry. Can you imagine Jordan Binnington and Patrick Waugh?
Yes.
I mean, it has the potential to work out, but it also has the potential to completely blow up.
It's like next game. Listen, Jordan, this is how you do it, and then
he keeps him in for 11 goals.
Yeah,
and that's it. The Ducks, they've got their guy. The Kings, they're not going to get rid of Todd McLennan. No. San Jose have Rocky Thompson as an assistant in case Bugner doesn't work out. He's not going to go to Arizona because I'm sure Wayne got out of there before damaging his reputation. Patrick's not going to do the same thing. Ottawa are with DJ Smith, and they had the chance to bring on Patrick back then. The Canucks, they're going to want Travis Green. I think we all know that.
Yeah.
It would be interesting if that goes wrong. Do they circle back to Patrick? Calgary and Daryl Sutter, who freaking knows? He has a contract, though. We mentioned Montreal. Paul Maurice should not go anywhere. Edmonton, no.
Well, the other thing is what other coaches are currently available. That there's Gerard Gallant and then you have to ask yourself, who would you rather have, Gerard Gallant or Patrick Waugh? And then you have to do that with the other coaches available.
So I guess
as a coach,
yeah.
The only team that really works is St. Louis. I think we can kind of determine here. So it's between
Seattle.
Oh no. Because he could come in and establish his own thing. It's nothing that he's breaking the mold.
Well, let's just say for the sake of argument's sake, because I think it makes a lot of sense that Gerard Gallant could work in Seattle because it just kind of does. Or you could bring Barbecue Bruce, one of the two. So then available would be for St. Louis either Claude Julien, Patrick Waugh,
Bruce Boudreau.
Yeah, one of Bruce Boudreau or Gerard Gallant, whoever doesn't end up in Seattle. I don't know if there are any hot NCAA guys or guys in the in the AHL. Leave Joe Bouchard alone.
Oh, there's Andre Thierry, but I don't think he's gonna because he's gonna coach the World Juniors again.
So and you would hope that he would do the Ducharme thing of having an assistant spot first. You don't go from a World Junior straight to the head coach. You need some time there.
Unless you're Brent Sutter.
Yeah. Ooh.
Who went from the World Juniors to the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah, and how did that go?
That's funny. He actually had a winning record.
Yeah.
Same thing with Claude Julien when he was in New Jersey, if I'm going to go on the side. They both had winning records towards the end of the season. But the Lou Lamoriello's they didn't prepare the teams for the playoffs, even though they were first in their division, and then Lou Lamoriello took over as coach, both times.
So basically, it would be a race if you're St. Louis and you're we don't like how this is going, and right now they're in a good spot to make the playoffs. They got 3 games in hand and a point over the Yotes, so they should be fine. But if they underperform, who knows? So I think basically what we can draw from looking at everything right now is there's not a great chance he's going to get a job, but it is the NHL.
That's true.
You could see until someone is on the hot seat.
And you know what? That could be Dominic Ducharme.
Maybe.
It could be.
Where does he go after, though? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of speculation with that.
Where would Dom Ducharme go?
Yeah, where would he go after?
I think he sits. That's a good question. because don't forget, because Elaine Nezardine went back. Is Elaine Nezardine, did he go back with New Jersey and just kind of step to the side?
I believe so.
I don't know if Ducharme does that. I don't think he'd have the same role, or it'd be a bit mixed up because they have Alex Burrows. I don't know, but at the same time, if Ducharme doesn't do the job, then like sorry, but I don't know. Patrick Waugh though. Listen, I think we all, for the entertainment value, would love to see him back in the league. Just the greatest goalie of all time.
Arguably.
No, undisputedly.
Are we gonna have this debate again?
No, you see, this is unfair.
I'll take a step back.
That's the thing. So he could call Will, but like, who can I call to be like Martin Brodeur? I have to call Marty himself.
Call Enterprise Rent-A-Car, the official car provider of the NHL.
They come on, represent like, hey, who do you think you are? Talk about Martin Brodeur like that.
I don't know. But he's all right. He's all right. You know, that's pretty all right. Canada's U18 team. I mean, the intention that Connor Bedard and Shane Wright are getting, Shane Wright, captain, they destroyed Sweden last night. But I think it was 11-1 when I last looked at that score.
Yeah, he had the right angles last night.
Yeah, the right angle. I think you have a lot of things right if you get 11. Speaking of 11-1 Patrick Waugh, we're talking about it. I mean, Shane Wright. I think he's eligible next year, right?
Next year, yeah. Because it's
That's
the U18.
insane.
But they've been talking about him. I've been hearing his name like last 3 years.
He got exceptional status, right? We talked about this. Like, so I think and that was last season. Since then, it's been really all about the kid.
Yeah, I had the game on last night. I turned it off at like 8-0, not because I didn't want to watch the game. I just was tired. And it was like, my God, it's like every time I looked up, it was just Canada scoring another goal. I kind of felt bad for Sweden, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. By the way, how bad does it look that they're still going on all this? And it's like, we're still figuring out a city for the women's game because we're the IIHF and we kind of suck.
But yeah, I don't know. This is another, well, it's not really breaking news. It was 3 hours ago.
Ooh.
But when we talk about women's hockey, the National Women's Hockey League announced today a substantial salary cap increase for the second season. Yes, in 2021-22, doubling from $150,000 to $300,000 per team.
That's really good. The fact that they can do that in the cap era, the fact that they can do that too right now in the world as they are right now, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm sure it helps with Montreal coming in.
Probably, yeah. I can imagine that influx of cash does help a lot.
Pretty awesome. That's actually really, really cool to hear. Daniel, I'm assuming you put Shane Wright on the dock because World Juniors will eventually be opening in this man's. I believe he made the team, or he was part of the squad, but I believe COVID may have cut him out, or did he get cut out?
No, he was just one of the final cuts. Like,
really, was he?
Yeah, because I don't know, it's, like, unless you're, which is funny, unless you're like Connor McDavid, Sidney Crosby. Well, McDavid didn't make it as a 16-year-old, but like Crosby, Jason Spezza, Jay Bouwmeester, Wayne Gretzky, you don't really make it as a 16-year-old.
No, you
16,
don't.
17-year-old, but he's going to be one of those guys that I think based on his analysis of where he's going to go in the draft and how that draft next year is going to be, I think he's going to be one of those guys that just probably going to start on the third, fourth line, but then suddenly becomes the main scoring threat at the end of the tournament.
Sounds like a Mapineers type player, honestly, except other team. And like what you kind of reference there is normally what happens is like if you're 17 and you make it, you're like fourth liner or seventh defenseman, like AKA Drysdale. Byfield got that treatment, Lafreniere. And then the next season you come and score in. The fact that he's doing it at this young age, kids get excited about.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see how I actually really wanted it because it was such an unusual year. I wanted him to make it the past year. And they kind of did go with kind of like the run of the mill kind of team where like the guys who came back, the guys who were already drafted. They really other than Jordan Spencer, they went with mostly first and second round picks.
Jack Quinn's on the team, right?
Yeah, he was 8th, I believe. Yeah,
8th or 9th, around there.
because Marco Rossi went 9th. His team
Wherever
went-
New Jersey were. Well, Buffalo 8th. Was that it?
No, Buffalo was 8th because Alexander
Buffalo took Jacqueline.
because Alexander Holtz went to New Jersey.
I thought New Jersey took Jack Quinn.
No, they took Holtz.
Oh, I got mixed up. Alexander Holtz. That was a weird draft, actually, looking back. Like the fact that that Rossi fell. I was like, what are you doing here? Same with the kid that Winnipeg got.
Cole Perfetti.
Perfetti, that was it. Yeah. Gotta have a certain Mr. Axelrod on the show to talk about that. I think he's a wrestling fan too.
Yeah.
Been talking with the DMs with him, trying to get him.
We'll bring him on one day.
Yeah.
Gavin, if you're listening to this, we'll have you on.
Yeah, man. Okay. Where were we gonna go from here? Anyway, you
Let's
already
talk about our
mentioned
day.
it.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned Spezza there, so I think we might as well mention him now. We'll look at some of the playoff clinching in a second here. These little snippets are from a Brandon Marin article from The Score. The AHL's players' minimum salary for this season is $51,000. Per the league CBA, though, in this shortened season, the minimal gate revenue and player salaries reduced by 52%, apparently. I did some quick math. It's basically like $25K. We're fine. So pretty bad, right? But Jason Spezza apparently led an initiative in which a group of Toronto Maple Leafs players pooled together money to make contributions to their AHL counterparts. And what makes this really special is I remember when everyone was kind of thinking about the season going on and wondering, when's this league going to start, that league going on? We were still questioning about the CHL and that. A big problem was the ECHL guys and like their bonuses, their season not happening.
Yeah.
But Jason Spezza is, I'm going to ask you guys a question about him a little later here, but still, just a simply put, gentleman move by Jason Spezza to put out this, like all this together, as well as, of course, the Leafs players who all contributed. But Jason Spezza, what a freaking guy!
Take away the part that he plays for the Leafs, just for me. Like I don't want to sound biased, but I just think that's that's a good guy move.
Oh yeah,
especially considering he's on league min, but like this guy's been playing in the league for how many years? He's made his money.
I think it's the article had him at $89 million earnings.
Okay, that I did not know. But like he's made his money.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's doing this is just a good guy thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think what Elliot Friedman talked about it on 31 Thoughts, that it's just another example of what you expect from a guy like Jason Spezza, where when we talked about, exceptional status, we talked about a guy that was hyped up since he was 13 and everything, and he just stayed consistent from, and I trust them. What Jeff and Elliot said, like he stayed consistent throughout his career of being this type of good guy. And one thing that I really took from that is that we fail to realize sometimes is we talk about the expenses that it takes to live in Toronto, and to not have that steady paycheck and to not have that revenue coming in, it adds up. And we know that these guys are pro guys, but again, when we talk about salaries, talk about the NHL, talk about these guys with their families, it's another thing to factor in when you're not getting the same type of, like when we talk about the NHL not getting a lot of, recognition and getting a lot more of the exposure that other major leagues are getting. Like I think about now, like the minor leagues, where even on the best of days, it's not getting the same amount of recognition. And I remember when we were talking about those articles in the summer about just these teams that were losing, they were taking a loss like crazy. And at every level of every level of hockey, and to kind of think that, man, like for these things to keep on going, like you need the support of your NHL team to really help you like along the lines.
Mm-hmm. I can only imagine what like sort of like the lesser AHL teams are going through, like the Barracuda in San Jose. Like you see pictures of them when they had fans in the stands, and you think it's COVID how empty the arena is. Or like you feel bad. I think I always get it mixed up. It's not Tuscan Raiders. Is it the Tucson, Arizona
Roadrunners.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, the mix of Looney Tunes and Star Wars.
You know, they used to be in Toronto.
Really?
It used to be the Toronto Roadrunners, but they were the affiliate for the Edmonton Oilers because that was when the Leafs had the St. John's Maple Leafs.
Can we talk about how funny it is that the Coyotes have a Roadrunner as an AHL team? That had to have been done on purpose.
Probably.
I like it.
That's just a guess.
One of the few things I like about the Coyotes.
Yeah, them and those juicy. Oh, no, you don't like those jerseys.
Yeah.
Okay, if they didn't have the cacti at the bottom,
it's barely even those. Anyway.
It makes it look like a fake jersey to me.
So I was thinking about this Jason Spezza thing, and I thought, you know what? Is Jason Spezza not the perfect sort of community guy that the Sens would love to have? Okay,
I actually had that feeling with things when like it was like at the height of the Battle of Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
This is when like I don't know. I just did not like the Senators. Like I did not like Patrick Lalime. I liked Marian Hossa later on, but I didn't like Hossa when he had the colored visor. I always thought that was a bit of an arrogant move.
Oh, Mike, you sound like Mike.
I didn't like Zdeno Chara especially. But it's just something about especially no one like Daniel Alfredson in Toronto, but that's the obvious one. But when I think about Jason Spezza, it's like even then when I was a kid, I like sensed it or somehow like I could not like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
That
good player.
Like he just in a weird way, like he was reluctantly on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so unfortunate.
I mean, he made the cup final. He had a decent thingy. I mean, no, he made the cup final. Yeah, too bad the Sens couldn't do anything. But who did they lose to that year, Dan?
That was the Ducks.
That was the Ducks, eh?
When they were super stacked. That was when Pronger and Niedermeyer were both Norris candidates.
I was gonna say, how the hell do you shut down Alfredson? Would that have been Alfredson, Spezza, and Heatley?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's Heatley, like prime Heatley when he got the money for Lake Eugene.
1507.
Yeah, God, 1507. Danny Heatley, what a weird career that guy had. Yeah, it just went from 1507 to like the German league, and just disappeared.
You think he goes back to the Sens? Not like as a player, but as a
Heatley
like in that. Yeah.
Oh, no. Danny Heatley.
No,
not at this point. I think the Leafs do everything they try and not to listen. He could have. I'm sure if he had chosen to, I feel like they would have worked something out for him to go to Ottawa over the summer.
Because you got to remember, he requested a trade out of Ottawa.
Yeah, but
when they were in the midst of still being a playoff team.
Yeah, but you know what? You can still go to a guy at the end of his career and try and be like, "Hey, listen, buddy. Like, can we try and mend some fences here?" But I think the fact that the Leafs got him and have really, like, you can see how important he is. I would be amazed if they let him leave that organization. Like, he's going to be there for a while.
Listen, Ottawa, he's ours now.
No, he's not. No, he's not. If you remember Jason Spezza as a Leaf in 5 years, you're doing it wrong.
I remember him as the Dallas Star.
See, what's kind of weird is I would do that too, because that's what I remember. Like, man, Spezza, Ben, and Sagan, and then it's really weird. You know what? And credit to him. I thought after like those last few years in Dallas, I thought he was done because he was not great.
People did.
Yeah.
He was on the fourth line, getting almost $8 million.
But I think it's always comes back to that though, right? The price tag. Like we've had this. How many discussions have we had about different players when they're on their big contracts, then they sign for significantly less, and it's like, well, he looks much better when he's making $700,000.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Well, lads. I say, we'll just stick on the Leaf stuff, and we'll look at the how playoffs are starting to shape out in a little bit here. After what looked like a pretty innocent collision with Jake Muzzin, turned out Nick Ehlers is out for the rest of the regular season. Now, people need to remember when you hear, and we hear a lot of the out for the regular season nowadays, and what people need to realize is the Jets have 8 games left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He's out for the season.
Unless you're Winnipeg, it's about 10 games left for most teams. So, and I mean, but even though you do hope Winnipeg are going to be praying that a lot of their guys are going to be back because they got murdered by Edmonton and they have been all year and they're probably facing each other in the first round. But that was weird because it looked like it was just kind of like typical like Spez's. I mean, not Spez. Jesus, Muzzin was going for it and he's kind of like, I don't know, tried to like bounce him back. But then I felt like it was that. Then he kind of like went into the boards and it looked really, really awkward. Like it's not like he fell into them. He just kind of bounced into it. And it has to be shoulder or something like that because they just say it's upper body. I don't think they've actually said anything, but it looked like it was something in that area.
Yeah, it's probably that.
And I think Jets fans are kind of like all what Axelrod was saying and it's like no comment at this time.
Yeah. I think that's a big injury. I know there's only 8 games left. And I guess what they're fighting for a lot of is they're fighting for a home ice advantage in the first round. Because Edmonton's now surpassed them. They still have 2 games. Edmonton still has 2 games in hand. But from what I've been reading about Nick Ehlers, like a lot of people have been saying he has been one of the bright spots for that team this season, if not like their best player this season. And considering what surrounded him the last few years in terms of it seemed like this guy was always on the trade block. And now he's not. Like I haven't heard a single trade rumor about Nikolai Ehlers since the beginning of the season.
I kind of agree. Like when we talk about this top 6, that you've seen so many changes. You see the Patrick Laine trade. You see Pierre-Luc Dubois coming in. You see the shifting between consistency and inconsistency with Blake Wheeler and Mark Scheifele. These guys getting in and out of the lineup. Sometimes Andrew Cobb comes into the top 6 like we saw in the playoffs last year. When you take that all out, you still get a Nick Ehlers. You get someone who's been so consistent for them, someone who's always been there, that he's been able to kind of really live up to that contract they gave him. And I admit, I got kind of mad at him on Saturday. I don't know. It's just sometimes with me, I don't know, something with veterans. And when he got into Thornton's face, I'm like, yeah, gosh, like Nick Ehlers, like, why did I ever give you any praise? But coming back to my senses now, I realize that he is a good player. He's doing what he needs to do for the team. And I just didn't know he was hurting. Like for the amount of battles he had with Thornton, like after that check, I just thought, it was business as usual. But for a Jets team that has been going through so many changes, like now when I talk about that top 9, we also look back on how many changes they made on their defense, and that's still adjusting too. And for them to be in a way, not in a hobbling kind of way, but it just really takes out a crucial X factor for them going into the playoffs.
Mm-hmm. I think Maurice did say that he should be fine for it, but I would imagine that you got to always wonder how many guys are going to be back for the playoffs, but they are just very clearly not 100%. It's always a question, not to mention how everyone must be feeling right now with sort of the schedule getting so sticky, especially I can't imagine what shape the Canucks are going to be looking like soon.
Yeah. But who will be fully healthy though?
Mm-hmm.
Nikita Kucherov.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. That's a bad one. But hey, make a better cap system. Another update with an injury player. Frederick Anderson is healthy, or kind of. Maybe he's practicing. I do find it a little funny that it's like, hey, Bogosian's hurt for the year. Oh, Freddie's skating. I was kind of thinking, okay, all right then.
Well, I still don't think he can play though.
Yeah, but if they're all of a sudden talking about that he can come back, if there's a possibility that he comes back in the regular season, that's 100%. We got the cap room now. I guarantee it. Because they can't make their moves at the deadline without Freddie being hurt. I'm not saying that they were pulling crap back and kind of were. I'm not saying that they were purposely keeping him out, but it is funny.
I don't think they were purposely keeping him out. I think it was a discussion between the two parties, between Freddie and between Keefe and Dubas. Like, if I'm being honest, I'd rather have Freddie at 100%. I think I was fine with Campbell and Riddick or Hutchinson being the backup, but having 100% healthy Freddie where he's rested and he's healthy is a huge advantage because the Leafs have never had that. He's either always been tired or has been injured because they've never had a backup. Right. So I think there was I don't know if it was much. I don't think they were saying Freddie, like, don't come back. Don't come back. Where it was like both were very open to this idea. Because if Freddie has a good playoff run, let's say, what that does change what could change what his contract looks like in the summer.
Is this Toronto's version of Nikita Kucherov, of Frederick Anderson and a Riley Nash coming in?
Yeah, of course it is.
Yes.
Everyone knows that it is.
Yes, everyone knows
it. They are the worst. The LTIR stuff is the worst kept secret in the league right now.
The litter, yes.
Like, again, Tampa don't pull off. Tampa Bay don't have Cirelli right now if Kucherov's healthy. He doesn't have a contract.
Yeah.
So, and Tyler Johnson would probably be a Detroit Red Wing right now. Knowing how or Henrik Zetterberg's a Tampa Bay Lightning in contract stuff.
They weren't perfect with it, though. You know why?
Why? Not like they got David Savard, too.
They didn't bring back Carter Verhaeghe.
Well, that's because they can just save that $300K and then bring someone else random that we probably have never heard of, and he'd still be fine.
It's like saying, "Hey, they got rid of Jonathan Marchand, so I bet they feel terrible about it." No, they don't. No, they do not.
No.
Yeah, there's Twitter comments. Yeah, we don't want him back.
I mean, yeah, no. After he's like going on, I lost all sympathy for Vegas ever since that San Jose Game 7 because it's like, yeah, bad call, kill the penalty off. It's not hard, just kill it off. Just ridiculous stuff. And then I guess we can also sort of say here before getting into Montreal specifically, we can preview the game tonight because it's Leafs and Habs. It's going to be, I think. Listen, as a Habs fan, I have just seen 3 straight games against the Calgary Flames. They're doing their best impression of the early 2000s Devils. So I am going in tonight hoping that there is a fun game to be played.
Hopefully. Anything can beat those 3, like especially that last game. Anything can anything can beat that. I don't know what Daryl Sutter has done to the Calgary Flames, but my God.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah.
So heading into this preview of this fun game,
hopefully fun,
who are your top 3 fun guys for this fun game?
Calm down now.
Oh man. Cole Caufield, Rasmus Sandin, and I want to see what Nick Foligno looks like. Like I know he's only played a couple games with the Leafs, but against Montreal, I'm very interested to see what he looks like against them.
Okay, Adam.
Is Nick Robertson playing tonight?
I don't think he's going to play the rest of the year.
I was really looking forward to seeing him versus Caufield, just to shut up Twitter, just for that to happen. Obviously Cole for me, and we'll talk about kind of him in a second. We focus on the Habs, but I just think it was kind of rough that I thought he had a good first period versus the Flames, but then it's just the Flames then played their game for the rest of it, and hey, offensive, great young talent. And then it's like, oh, crap, we're playing the Flames. They're just going to clog up the neutral zone. I think you're going to see a Habs-Leafs game that hopefully is a bit more open. You get to see Caufield sort of let loose a bit more, especially that he'll be playing with Toffoli and Suzuki tonight. That's an exciting line. Sandin's another one for me too because I just can't wait to see him. Like, he's going to get more and more comfortable, right? Especially if he really just, they commit to getting some good power play time there. I'm always interested to watch Mitch Marner. I love always to watch him. As well as it's not really, the traditional fun, but anytime Jake Muzzin and Josh Anderson get to play each other, it's always a bit of fun. It's always a good bit of fun. That's definitely it for me. And honorable mention, seeing Romanov get to play the power play tonight will be kind of interesting. Those are my fun guys. I think a lot of fun on both sides here. It should be a freaking fun game.
Should be.
My 3 guys are, I don't know, I have a feeling Alex Galchenyuk.
Of course you would.
Yeah. Corey Perry.
Okay.
No bias there.
Robbie think he's fun when he falls on Jack Campbell. When he pulls his normal Corey. There was a play when like the puck clearly went out of play and it fell back down onto the goalie and you just kind of gave him a nudge. And naturally everyone went after him because it's Corey Perry, but
and
such a dick.
As on that point too, it'd be Wayne Simmons, because it's just when you have a Perry, like a Sherratt, a Josh Anderson,
God, yeah.
on your team, I want to see them against like what they do in terms of, you know, matching that heaviness. So honorable mention for me would be Jake Muzzin in that situation too.
I guess, yeah, I think this is Sherratt's first game against the Leafs since he came back from injury, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So that also means Austin Matthews is going to have a few run-ins with that pairing. I can't just watch the net front battle city, ladies and gentlemen.
Wayne Simmons on the first line.
No, it's gonna be Nick Foligno.
That'll be interesting too to see how Foligno like sort of adds to that next. If Alex Galchenyuk does not score in any of these last few games versus the Habs, I'll be a happy man. I really will be, but I can't see it not happening.
Oh wait, first line: Foligno,
Okay,
Matthews,
okay,
Wayne Simmons.
No,
yes,
no, they're not gonna split
absolutely.
Matthews and Marner. They'll never.
Put a bruiser on like every line.
Okay, you know the Canadians aren't thugs, right?
I know. I'm just.
Okay, so I'm not saying I don't know. I'm not saying they're gonna do that, but one thing I can see Keefe doing, because not that he shied away from it, but I think it's worked so well. The lines that they've had for a lot of the season has worked so well, with the exception of that second left wing spot where they've kind of rotated guys. I can really see Keefe experimenting with what to do with that second line. Like, because if you look at last year when they were down in situations, they kind of threw William Nylander at center and kind of just deserted him by himself. And they never did that in the regular season. So you're throwing William Nylander on center, who, by the way, is not a center. And he didn't get any practice or chemistry with the guys he would be playing with. So I can really imagine Sheldon Keefe changing things up a little bit mid-game just to try something new.
Daniel.
I kind of agree with that. I think it's just for me. I know they're not thugs with anything. It's just with the way Montreal plays. It's just when you look at every line, they have like that balance I like a lot. Where they have the speed, they have those skilled guys, but at the same time, like you say, a Josh Anderson or maybe a Corey Perry here and there to just kind of give them kind of that edge. Again, what I've said before, it's a difference between what they had last year, and the same thing with Toronto too, where they just have this lineup where I think for me, I'm just getting overly excited from the fact that there's so many combinations you can do now, or what Alex said about on the fly changes where you would like to see certain guys kind of mesh here and there, playing these different types of situations where I think you create more value with that, with your bottom six, because you have all these guys that could move up and down the lineup, and it's just not really like one defined rule where they say, okay, you're on the fourth line and we're just going to ride with that.
Would you like me? I got up the Leafs lineup. I'm going to get Montreal's up too. We can just kind of do a little cheeky comparison. Or like these are from the Leafs lines yesterday. I can't quite see anything from today, but I'm guessing because they had the day off, right? Or day off, but the game in between. So the Leafs, it has Foligno, Marner, and Matthews. It has Galchenyuk with Tavares and Nylander. It's Mikheyev, Kerfoot, Simmons. It's Thornton, Brooks, Spezza.
That line has been great as a fourth line, by the way. Just fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And then on the Montreal side, and by the way, it's Muzzin Hall, Riley Brody, Sandine Dermott. The extra pairing was Hutton and Mullerman. For Montreal, it's a bit of a thing because Montreal, all of a sudden, now the Leafs are missing Hyman. Montreal are now missing Thomas Tatar, Paul Byron, and now Jonathan Drouin. So the lines are a bit messy right now, but the cap has allowed them to bring some guys into the lineup. A.K. Lehkonen, Dano, and Anderson. Suzuki is playing with Caufield and Toffoli. I am so excited to watch that. then you've sort of, and like I guess you can kind of see there, Daniel, is like the Lehkonen Anderson line is just that total, like we all know what Anderson's about. And like Lehkonen and that, like that's let's be honest, the Deneau line is going up against Matthews as it does every night. The third line is Perry, Armia, and Kotkaniemi. That can be pretty nasty. And then the fourth line's really interesting. Jake Evans is centering Eric Stahl, and Mikhail Frolik is apparently drawing in. And then the third pairing is apparently Romanov and John Merrill. So that will be pretty cool to see. So I think
Eric Gustafson.
No, it was John Liu had him. But then he said he might have caught it on the rotations. Apparently it is John Merrill. Good, because I saw Gustafson and Romanov. I'm like, no, please. We not do that.
Random shout out, by the way, to John Liu. Random shout out to John Liu.
He's great.
Because he got white cement Jordan 4s with the Nike Air on the back. And that is a throwback to Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing.
He's got all the style in the world, eh? So like what's interesting is like, so you have the bruiser, as Daniel will call him when he's not, but I'm noticing in both second line, like I'm still not going to call Galchenyuk a grinder. Like his skill will always, I think, outshine that in his game. And especially when he has the consistency I think he's had as a Leaf. You can see both there, like the Suzuki line compared to the Tavares line right there is probably the only one that is a bit more, I'd say they all battle, but there's a lot more skill on those two lines. I wonder if that's the matchup. Like, I'm like, who doesn't want to see Nylander and Caufield trade chances all night? That would be some pretty good hockey. And then in the rest of it, I think there's some good balance there. And it's probably going to be Campbell versus Jake Allen, by the way. We can all probably see that. Yeah. It's going to be, I really hope it's a good game. Because so after this, we still have, is it the 2 or 3? I thought it was the 3-game series, but I think the COVID stuff kind of screwed everything up. So I'm going to quickly get the schedule up here. And we can see because it is a 3-game series. Because after this, there is the May 3rd, 6th, and 8th. Okay, so it is a 3-game, but Montreal play the Sens in the middle of it.
Oh.
God damn it.
So odd.
That's annoying. Oh my God. Yeah, but at least Montreal have some room to end the rest of the season. Like they got some rest here. These games are actually pretty important in the way of, besides obviously getting points. They mean a lot more than Montreal, to be honest. At least basically have first locked up. Especially with Winnipeg and Edmonton are just going to be taking points away from each other at this point. Is that there's this weird kind of scenario actually looking at it that towards the end of the season, the Jets and Edmonton are doing their thing right now. At the end of the season, we have Calgary and Vancouver playing a lot of games against each other, which is, as long as they stay in regulation, are massive for Montreal if there's a split there. And then it is the idea that Montreal will have a more difficult season because they're playing the Leafs. Now you hope that with the Leafs locking up in those last 3 games, maybe they pull some guys out. They end the season with 2 games versus Edmonton, who they actually played pretty well. But then they play the Jets and the Sens, who somehow have had Montreal's number all year.
Yeah.
So this is really for Montreal, I'd say I don't want to say a must win. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I think worst case scenario, you would like to see a point come out of this game. That's just me. And of course the Leafs just want to keep rolling and keep getting momentum going into the first round.
Yeah. I'd like the momentum to continue from the last game against Winnipeg. Like that's, I don't have high expectations in terms of if they win, if they win, if they lose, if they lose. I think the important thing is, like, I think we kind of know for the most part who the 4 teams in the playoffs are going to be. Like, what are the actual chances Calgary does catch up? I know there is a chance. It's small. I think in my mindset for the Leafs, it's okay. You need to keep the momentum going. You need to play. You got to play like you did against Winnipeg, because that's what's going to win you games in the playoffs. Not the style points, not the whatever, not the extra pass here and there. It's getting the puck, putting it in the back of the net, playing like strong defense. Like, it's very,
you have to play hard.
Yeah, you got to play hard. Like, that's what's going to win you games, and that's what's probably lost you games in previous playoff series.
It's definitely the idea of you need to play the like rip on the Flames, but there is, and it's never down to this level, but still there's the idea of you got to play the boring hockey. The playoffs,
The trap system?
are not okay. You don't need to do the trap, but if it's the third period, you can clog up the zone and just dump it and send one guy in, right? You don't need to just play a 1-3-1, right? Like no one wants it that. But there is the lock it down, right? That's what's really important. That is playoff hockey. That, and you know what, the aspect of the rules, like the rules completely change, and we don't talk about that because apparently it doesn't exist, says the commissioner, but we all know it does. Anything else?
Yeah.
Looking at tonight's game.
Not tonight's game. It was just something about the way they've deployed Cole Caufield.
Okay. Well, we can shift to Montreal right now then.
Okay.
First off, I think we should mention I got my Druin jersey on today just because he's out indefinitely dealing with a personal whatever. We don't know the details. We don't need to know the details. All we need to know is that hopefully Jonathan Druin is okay and everything around. He was missing some games, but they were saying an illness that was not COVID. But whatever it is, well wishes to Jonathan Druin. He's been the whipping boy in Montreal for a couple of years now. I don't think he deserves it. And hopefully he comes back and he's stronger than ever.
Not that this really matters. Is it just the regular season, or is it kind of this?
There hasn't been any. Ducharme and rightfully so has been very
fair.
He's like, every time they've asked him, he's been like, you know what? Today I'm looking at Jonathan Druin, the person, not the player. They've been very secret about any certain details.
Which makes sense.
The media asked to know, and it was like,
why?
Stop it. Exactly. Like even Mark Dumont was like, hey, can we quit it? And this guy used to work at the Atlantic. It's just, I don't know what they're doing.
It was, I found it interesting that they put in the statement, we ask that you please respect Duran's privacy. And in the first time they get to ask questions, that the media asks that.
Yeah. Even Eric Angles was doing it, and I was like, man, he asked about Carey Price, who apparently is getting testing done tomorrow, or is it today? And they're finding out tomorrow, but exactly it's up. Hopefully he's okay. God damn it. But in his meantime, Jake Allen has done exactly what he has been needing to do, and I'm guessing that's why he has been put in the dock here. And I'm guessing one of you wanted to say something about him quickly, because I love him. And
yeah, we love Jake Allen, World Junior legend. Should have won the gold medal, John Carlson. But anyways, yeah, I don't know. It's just his numbers. He's been impressive this year, and for what he's been able to do, what's been going on with the record, it's just he's been holding the fort. And I think I just put him here because he is going to be one of the bigger factors going in, especially when we don't know the status of what Carey Price's timetable is going to be, especially with this condensed schedule right now. And I'm not sure how many games you're going to give Caden Primo, but I guess I would put Jake Allen in there because it is just a factor of a guy where we think about, we sometimes think about what his ceiling is sometimes, but then he'll have a playoffs like he had last year.
He's so getting claimed by Seattle, by the way. They had a list of all the RFA and UFA goalies, and you're like, Drieger, you're like, they're taking him. Especially because Spencer Knight's coming and playing pretty well. And it's like Rask, UFA, and just all these guys. And there's Jake Allen this term, and you're like, God damn it. Oh no, they're gonna lose him. He was a joy to have while we could. But yeah, he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Against the Flames, I think his record ended up being 2-6 or something, but it was just his save percentage was just rocket high because he was playing so well. God, Jake Allen, I'm gonna really miss that guy.
Do you ever do that in NHL, by the way? You only look at their save percentage, and then even if they have a losing record, you still sign them, because I do that all the time.
Yeah. Okay, this is a really random tangent thing, but even if you have crazy defense and everything fits the coach's system, I don't know why my goalie's save percentage, they have a winning record, but it's still 907.
Never works, man. You're lucky to get that high. I average, my guys normally average a 901, 902, and I'm like, okay. We won the Stanley Cup, but apparently I have no goaltender. Cool. I'm the Chicago Blackhawks of Antti Niemi. Fantastic news. God damn it. That game is so frustrating.
It's a love-hate relationship.
When was the last time you guys turned it on, by curiosity?
A while ago.
3 days ago?
Once Caufield, he's played, so he should be in the game anytime now. The moment I log on and I see that he's there, I'm playing again. But like I've purposely not been playing because it's like to play the Habs, you need to have like all their top prospects. The problem is you can't play half of them because they're not in Canada. It's like American players, Romanov, we had to wait till he played again. It was so frustrating. Like Caufield, I hope they didn't do him dirty like they did Romanov and Cale Fleury. But anyway, you talk about love-hate relationship, by the way. I feel like that's a relationship Montreal have with Brett Kulak because it's just –
I haven't heard his name in a while.
Yeah, well, because he hasn't been playing. Because John Merrill came in and was like, hey there. I'm basically the defenseman they've always wanted Brett Kulak to be.
He's got great hair, by the way.
He does. He has what we would call the real mullet.
Yes.
Because people in this day and age think a mullet is just long hair.
No.
When it's business in the front, party in the back. And John Merrill has a real mullet. And do you know what? I hope they keep him because he has made a lot of really good, smart plays where it's like, there we go. Like there was the a thing of Gustafsson just skated right into Cole Caufield in his first game.
Cool.
And John Merrill got back and made a pretty decent play to stop the chance. It was like, I wish Sherrod did that.
Was that when Eric Gustafsson was playing on the wing or
no? He was playing defense there. I don't know what they were doing. A side effect, though, of Jonathan Drouin now being out is Montreal's cap problems are just all of a sudden gone because the salary cap is it's the worst thing in hockey. It seriously is. Why is it after the deadline, first of all, you have a certain number of call-ups? Now, there was a big hoopla because when Caufield got called up, technically – Romanov, for salary cap reasons, had to go to the taxi squad. And that would then mean for the rest of the season, it would only have been, you can use that call-up because Caufield came on via emergency call-up. At the same time, like Byron, Tatar, everyone was out. It was a complete mess. That's where like Primo was on emergency. Like Montreal's like roster decisions over the past week has been something to look at. So, but with Jonathan Drouin being out now, all of a sudden, now Primo can be the backup. Jake Evans can finally draw in. The problems are gone now. It's actually really, really cool. Not that Jonathan's out, but still, like, all these guys are in. So now Romanov is back in as well. Caufield can play and all that. And again, now we have seen Caufield play his first game. It was against the Calgary Flames. Oh, sorry. By the way, Merrill is basically the defenseman they always wanted. I want to bring that up. Kulak is so gone, and I'm gonna miss him. But like it's so like it's written in that he's gone now. I missed you, Kool-Aid. I'm happy you scored this year. I'll remember you in my heart.
You have to play that song.
What?
I will remember.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like, all by myself, because he's just by himself in this lineup nowadays. But yeah, Cole Caufield's first game against the Calgary Flames. Before the game itself, the decision was made to play him with Philip Deneau and Thomas Tatar. Now, a lot of people were like, hey there, that's dumb. It's not. Oh. What you got to realize about Philip Deneau is he's one of the best two-way centermen in the league. And what's interesting about the Philip Deneau and Thomas Tatar combination with Brendan Gallagher is that they have been one of the best at generating 5-on-5 scoring chances in the league since they came together. And again, what makes the Bergeron line work so well? Patrice Bergeron does all the hard work, and then Pasternak and Marchand do what they want. So I thought it made a lot of sense. And again, it's not like they protected him. He got some power play time, not on the 5-on-3, but Weber scored, so all can be forgiven. But I just thought it made a lot of sense. And, defensively, Deneau got to cover a lot of stuff in that. But I just thought there was a lot of rationale now with that. And now they play him with Toffoli and Suzuki tonight, which I think is going to be really fun. Because obviously, if you're going against the Leafs, the last thing you want to do is have Caufield with Deneau with the importance of shutting down Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
So like I think a lot of people just kind of think, oh, they're playing the kid on the first line. He's going to play 20 minutes. No. Like everyone forgets Montreal's top line is completely different from other teams. But Caufield himself in the game, did you both manage to catch the game itself?
I had it on the background. I didn't know. I watched the highlights.
Okay. Daniel, did you catch the game?
Yeah, I did. I like how it went. I mean, especially after the last two games, I think that this one was a redemption.
They scored more than one goal, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
God bless Tyler Toffoli.
I don't know. Jeff Merrick really hyped me up for this series, by the way. Like, the way he talked about it on TV and just, like, it's like, I know that there's still a lot of games, like, to play, and Calgary still has a lot of ground to make, but he made it in a way of, like, a do-or-die situation where it's like, oh, man, you really need to watch the series.
See, Jeff Merrick's not an idiot, right? He knows that the Flames are boring. And what's annoying is like they are the perfect kryptonite to Montreal because the Habs are a speedy team that work off the rush. And the Flames kill the rush. So what he did was like, okay, so here's like the worst matchup possible. The stakes are ever important. And people also gave crap. It's like Caufield's going to play the most important game. Like, guys, there was no atmosphere. It was the worst few games of hockey I think I've ever watched.
Oh, Hannafin scored. That was surprising.
God, I know, and then he's out for the season too, unfortunately. Yeah. But it was, oh my God, it was actually god awful. It was so awful. Sounds
like Jeff Merrick's good at his job.
Yeah, he is.
It sounds. I don't know who runs Sportsnet. If it was Anthony Stewart, he'd say John Sports Nettington, but. They must have called him and said, "Hey, you need to sell this series," and he did a fantastic job with that. By the way,
I bought it.
Yeah, but I mean, Montreal out of that series are still 6 points up and the game in hand, so it's big. But anyway, Cole Caufield himself, talking about the game itself. What I found really interesting is before the Flames did the Flames things and just locked down the rest of the game, is in the first period especially, it felt like he was making the right passes. And of course, decision-making in the NHL is so important at a fast pace. He created the rebound that was good for Phil Deneau. He was shooting at angles that probably Markstrom wasn't quite ready for. Didn't get one past him, but and he also made some pretty good, like that line altogether had a few good rush chances. And again, creating those versus the Flames, I think is really, really important. It was good to kind of see him in that scenario. It's just, unfortunately, all of a sudden, like when they had him on his brief stint in the power play, alongside him was like Eric Gustafsson. And it was really cool that before the Flames took that second penalty and they kicked him off, for Weber and Petrie. Again, Weber scored, but still.
They had two defensemen on a power play.
Yeah.
What is this, 2001?
I haven't seen that in a while.
Again, it's scored.
Yeah, I mean, if it worked, it worked.
They've kind of changed it now when they very much now have, I think before now, of course, like Petrie's now working the line and they've definitely moved Weber down. More towards the OV spot. Like normally he kind of hangs a bit further back, but now they've just kind of said, dude, just stick down there. Because if you're like, I would assume like if you're kind of like half-assing it between going to the line and that, the moment you cough it up at the line, they're gone. Weber's not going to catch them. So I think it's better if there's more chance that Petrie or like anyone else, like a net front guy or something that can come in and like support him. Like Weber will be able to hold the puck against the boards for longer than most people because of his strength. But like I like that more, and then like Caufield can also have that second OT spot of just hopefully just blasting past one-timers. But like, yeah, again, for his first game, he looks like he belonged. I liked what I saw out of the kid, and that's really all you want at the end of the day. Like if he looked terrible, you're like, oh no, this isn't gonna look great. And you know what? If he can continue to sort of belong, even if you don't play him in every single playoff game, I'd be surprised if he keeps playing well and you don't have him there. This sort of stint of games for Montreal is going to be massive for him too. It's just, there was also something I do have to mention is the Habs have not had this sort of prospect to look forward to that is hopefully going to change, like a difference maker in forever. So as a fan, I just want to say that it was a really good feeling that whenever he stepped onto the ice, you were like, okay, I got to look out for 22 here. Because otherwise, and after he came up, it's like, oh, okay, it's time for Toffoli. And then you realize, oh, Toffoli's got 25 goals. He's amazing. Yeah, we forgot about that. but it's like the kid's pure presence just kind of made you excited. And the big problem around this Calgary series, and because it's so frustrating to watch Flames hockey, it was just really nice to actually see a game and this exciting young player. It was the most excited I've been for a Habs game in a couple of weeks now, which is it's bad. I thought him and Evans coming in for the same game too brought a lot of needed energy. And again, that's all you want. Like Evans is such a nice like coach's player. He does everything right. You love him so much.
I'm trying to think. I'm like, wait, there wasn't any other one hyped. Like, I mean, Kotkaniemi was not hyped up like this. He was third. Or
I don't think so. Not this way. Not this
Noel
way.
Juleson. I'm trying to think back, like up until the drafts. Not Nikita Sherbak.
So you say that again?
I'm trying to think since 2014, like as a range. I'm like, what were the other draft picks that I'm like, were they hyped up in a way?
No. I mean,
not even Kotkaniemi. That's still surprising to me.
I don't think so.
Like third overall, because I think a lot of people saw. Okay, here's this. Do you guys think of Russians as Europeans or not? Because they're technically, is it like a border? It's like, okay, if he's part of that, like if he's part of this Russia, he's European. If he's part of that, he's what are you gonna say? I think a lot of people. Well, don't forget the Kotkaniemi pick wasn't that popular because they went positionally, and I mean and everyone was kind of pleasantly surprised why. Caufield has been, the chase, the build-up, the journey is always helps with that kind of stuff. And, you got to remember that he's been, just marinating in college. Not to mention, his freshman year was great. And then this year in its entirely, don't forget, coming back with, that disappointing States team and winning gold, the Hobie Baker. There was just, watching him dominate, I think was just oh, crap, we have a – and the way that some analysts and experts talk about him, you're like, okay, this is a player. Who?
Cale Makar, how he kind of came in.
I mean, fair enough. Cale Makar, Hobie Baker winner. They don't have a lot of them, and I think somebody said, I think it was Axelrod too, who said, yeah, the last player that had this sort of debut was Price, and at the same time, talk about the attention around the Laval Rocket. The last time the AHL team got that much was when they were in Hamilton and PK was playing there.
Right.
Again, you always kind of hold your you try and level your expectations. At the same time, though, be excited about the kid because, I sure am. He's great. And Toffoli and Suzuki, I'm really excited to watch that line play hockey tonight.
I think it's really smart what they're doing in terms of where they're playing him, because I think I'll call it the old way of doing things, is you don't start in the top 6 as a rookie. And I just don't I think there's multiple cases where you can play a guy in the top 6 and you can succeed because he has that skill set. Number one, Cole Caufield can shoot. Right. So you need players who can get him the puck. And if you move him up the lineup, generally speaking, in my experience, the higher up in the lineup, the better the players are. That's just my experience from what I've seen. So you're playing him with guys who can get him the puck much better than guys who can probably get him the puck in the bottom 6, let's say. Mm-hmm. And we've seen it happen before. There's certain guys who are just going to thrive in the top 6 based on their skill set. And there's a risk, but I think in this case, there's so much more. The reward is so high that the risk in this case doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm. Daniel, you have a note on Cole Teddy Bear Caufield. I love him.
Yeah, I love the guy. I was actually excited. I was excited. I think it's just when, and again, I'm just a movie reference or something, but it's just when things were not going down, we're going a bit down for the Canadians. They weren't finding their consistency in any way. I like that this really rejuvenated things. That there was a bit of that hope. There was a bit of that accountability and that willingness to change things around, to see how the lineups match up and see what really works, because again, it was so stagnant for so long that I like that now, even late into the season, they're like, okay, we're still willing to try this. No, there's a bit of freedom here.
Mm-hmm. Damn, he's just good. I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to watch him play hockey. It's great. To finish off here, we'll have a quick look around the league because some teams have clinched playoff spots. I don't know if tonight the Leafs would clinch if they do win, but like they've basically clinched somehow. It's not official yet. It's weird.
If Ottawa and Toronto win, they clinch.
If Ottawa and what?
Who's Ottawa? Okay. Who's Ottawa and Edmonton, right?
The Sens are
They're
factor.
playing the Canucks.
Canucks, okay. Okay.
The Sens, who are 25 points back, and the Canucks, who are 24, have a factor in. Okay, that's so weird. That's actually the weirdest thing. In the West Division.
I have it here if you want me to read it.
No,
if they defeat the Canadiens in regulation and the Senators defeat the Canucks in regulation, or if they defeat the Canadiens in overtime and the Senators defeat the Canucks in regulation and the Oilers and Jets game ends in regulation.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so this is basically one of those things. They've clinched, but we need to do the stupid, like, okay, whatever. If you need the bottom team in the thingy to win, you've basically clinched. Whatever. Yeah. All but the fourth spot has been decided in the Western Conference. Vegas have clinched for a couple days now. Colorado are there as well. And the third team to clinch, all of a sudden, holy crap. What's it, 17 points? The Minnesota are ahead by the Blues. Daniel, your boys have clinched. How do you feel?
We did it. No, not we. I'm not there. But
Kirill Kaprizov did it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just, again, it's when I talk about Cole Caufield rejuvenating things, it reminds me of Kirill Kaprizov coming in because the last few years when we talk about the Wild, it's that same team where like, oh, they're banking on their veterans to do something. And again, it's what this year's kind of shown is how much has changed since Bill Guerin got there, because there's that accountability. What I keep talking about, like Zach Parise is on the fourth line right now.
Yeah.
Ryan Suter, he's still doing well, so he still gets to play in the top four. But now we're seeing like that shift where they have these guys where they're not really at a point now to contend, but they found the chemistry. They found what the core is going to be like long term. And one thing that really surprised me, because I looked back on one of our old episodes of what are they doing with Matt Zuccarello. Somehow,
yes,
coming into this offseason, they have a lot of cap space because a lot of the guys they traded for, like a Marcus Johansson, or a Nick Bustad, these guys are coming off, and you're going to be able to extend your young guys. So it's really weird to me when I look back now how they've gotten a lot better compared to how they looked in the play-in round.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not blaming just Evan Dubnyk.
Listen, that poor guy. Remember when he was a Vezina finalist? That was a good year. We already talked about the North a good deal here. Then I'll ask, since I asked Daniel about Minnesota, Alex, I'll ask you right now, the Blues, a point ahead of Arizona. They have 3 games in hand. Are you throwing your hat in the St. Louis Blues that will, the next coach that Patrick Waugh will coach?
I mean, I think they can. I think they have the team that can do it. Just looking at the competition behind them in Arizona, who's the closest. I mean, I pick St. Louis most times, and they have 3 games in hand. And I know I said it last episode multiple times. You have to win your games in hand, but I think they have a team there, and they're one of the teams. And I think the thing with the playoffs is anyone can kind of do anything. And we saw that last year. Like, look at Chicago and Montreal. I don't know how many people actually expected them to win the play-in round. They could do they could do some damage. They have guys who have experience. If Jordan Binnington does decide to get hot, that's again another guy who can do some damage. They're probably going to play Vegas, but it'll be interesting to see. I do think they can do it.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
Before we move to the next division, I have some breaking news.
Okay.
According to Lisa Dillman of The Athletic, Quinton Byfield will make his NHL debut tonight.
Finally.
That's pretty awesome. Excited to see that. decent time in the AHL. Why not give them some games to end the year? No one in the East Division has clinched right now, but the Capitals they've been going back and forth with I was going to say the Islanders, but then I looked at second. I'm like, Pittsburgh's there now. The Capitals, 68 points. They have a game in hand over the Penguins, who are at 67. The Islanders are third, and they're only a point ahead of the Bruins. The Bruins have a game in hand. What the hell happened to the Islanders? The Rangers, unfortunately, are 4 points back. And again, the Bruins have 2 games in hand. It looks like we're pretty set when it comes to the East Division. The Islanders. The Islanders. But, if they win a round, I won't be surprised. Meanwhile, the Central Division, the Hurricanes clinched their playoff spot with 69 points. Nice. The Panthers have clinched, and Tampa Bay as well. It's still really tight. The Panthers, even though Carolina, never mind. Carolina have 3 games in hand. They're 2 points ahead of the Panthers. Looks like we're finally going to get the Battle of Florida. But guys, again, we're still fighting. Do Nashville and Dallas actually play hockey games? Because the Predators are still ahead by 2 points, and Dallas still have 2 games in hand. What the hell?
They beat the Panthers 4-1 recently, right?
Who did? The Preds?
The Preds, yeah.
That's huge. They need to win those games.
Do you think Gary Bettman's just loving that he gets to see a Battle of Florida in the playoffs?
I mean, it only took how many years? What's the saying I always use? A broken clock still works 2 times a day.
That's true.
Right. It took how long for the Panthers? No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it. Like it took Powell Burry wanting out of Vancouver. Don't do it. But the word on the Panthers, they've clinched it. The story continues for this little Cinderella team. That's it.
They have, I don't think I think we saw the improvements made in the offseason, and I think we complimented them quite a bit. I don't think we saw them fighting for first place in the Central, and they were for quite a bit of time. I believe they were even among the league leaders in terms of points for small bits of the season. And I think that's a huge improvement for the team, and compliments to Bill Zito for kind of changing that Florida team in terms of not just the players, because I think he added good pieces, but I think the environment, just the general environment of the Panthers.
Yeah, I completely agree with that too. Again, what we talked about in the offseason, all those signings that Will Christophoulos talked about, where they're playing above their pay grade. There's these Alex Wenberg. I didn't think he was going to have a bounce back season like this. Anthony Duclair, I admit, it's just that consistency factor with him there, because even when he was doing well in Ottawa, he had that stretch towards the end of the season where it just didn't look good. Or Carter Verhaeghe, where a guy who has been, the poster boy of late bloomers this year, he's definitely someone that's take those extra strides.
Mm-hmm.
And Sergei Bobrovsky, if we're gonna say bounce back guy, he's there.
He's on a better year.
Yeah, he's good. He's not Vezina NHL 14.
He's come leaps and bounds from his under 900 save percentage last year. Yeah. He's done great. I'm so happy for him. And again, they're doing a lot of this without, recently at least, they've gone down the stretch ahead of Tampa Bay without Aaron Ekblad.
Yes.
And that's pretty important for them. And, if they can make it deep enough, he'd probably come back early because hockey players are pro athletes. But, yeah. I think that is everything that we need to talk about today.
I believe so.
Yeah, all right. Sucks that the Canadian Grand Prix got canceled. Huh?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
We'll be able to visit you, Adam.
Yeah.
Well, at least you get to stay out until 9:00 now, right? So,
yes, it changed, right?
What?
I guarantee you, Mike will remind you of that.
Man, I don't go out.
It's 8 o'clock, right? Yeah.
It was at 8, then they moved it to 9 or whatever. Now I don't even know where it is anymore. It doesn't affect me.
I thought it was 6 p.m. at one point. I don't know why.
No.
Yeah, that would be
I don't think so.
Yeah, but if you do it at 6, the only people are coming home from work. You're not gonna stop
running to get home.
Yeah. But yeah, okay, that's everything Fun episode, good episode. I think we only went for about an hour and a half. Fantastic.
Wow,
That's
it's a
what you
record.
Okay.
In a while.
Yep. Great. Thank you, The Voice said, as always, for being a fantastic platform for the show. Check out everything to do with the show. Social medias, we're everywhere, including the new TikTok. Fun stuff. What else? Yeah,
Facebook,
YouTube. See all
YouTube,
our faces. Twitter, all of that stuff, including
Everything.
our own personal Twitters and Instagrams.
Yeah.
Check out Alex's blog, my YouTube stuff, and my Eye Opener article. That was fun. Check out all of Daniel's stuff for the Eye Opener and the Hockey Riders. And rate the show on wherever you listen to your podcast, especially iTunes. iTunes is goddamn Apple Podcast. Why did they change it? It's been years. I'm never gonna get over that. Anyway, next episode, we're trying to figure something out. The fellas don't know I'm drafting a message to this guy, but I'm doing it. Who will it be?
The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock has his open DMs. And it's like, yeah, man. And he's like, do you want me to come on, Adam? Like, yeah, it doesn't matter what you want. And that's it. Goodbye.